After all the rumors and gossip and the news that Max Verstappen was going to leave Red Bull Racing and join Mercedes, and on Saturday at the British Grand Prix, he takes pole position with an incredible lap. It was the lap of the gods. We'll just call it that, okay? On Friday, the car was not good. It was brutal. You could hear it on the team radio. You could see it in the lap times. And Verstappen was struggling to get the pace from the car. But as the weekend evolved, so too did the car. Coming into free practice 3, it looked a little better than it did on Friday. So the team, having worked hard on the car to try and get it turned around a little bit more in terms of balance, and then basically as qualifying's going along, the team is taking rear wing out of the race car and just keep taking it out. And so as they're taking rear wing out of the car, Verstappen's getting quicker. Now it's an interesting thing when you're taking downforce away from the car. It goes quick in a straight line, but it doesn't necessarily corner the best, and you do use up the tire quite a bit because the car needs to slide a little bit more and it needs to pivot a little bit more, and that dials out the understeer in the car, so the front end gets a little grippier as well, so you tend to go through the tires quite quickly. But the other part of that is that you have to have extreme confidence in yourself to pull out the lap, because it can be a real scary ride. And essentially the mindset has to be, this thing's going to get rolled into a ball or we're going to take pole position one way or another. That's what's going to happen. And I think that has to be the mindset for Max coming into Q3, because that was a sensational lap. It absolutely incredible. Getting to watch that live, I mean, it was a remarkable thing to witness. It was like, Lewis Hamilton's win at the British Grand Prix last year. Just a remarkable feat to witness. Great driving, right? So, got to speak with Max about this afterwards. I had asked him about how the team evolved the car for him, and he explained about having to dial out downforce from the rear to help cure some of the understeer, and that essentially is what brought the car a little bit more to life. The next part of it is just all Max. Like, that's just him carrying that car and the team. That's exactly what that was. That was a driver's pole winning lap. Not the fastest car, not the greatest car on the grid either. Definitely not the fastest car on the grid. And that was just all him, just dragging the performance out of that thing. So, with taking rear wing out of the car, what does that do for Sunday? Well, essentially, if Verstappen can get away into the lead, it does help that he has a straight line speed. That would keep the McLarens and even the Ferraris and maybe the Mercedes, and we'll get into that in a minute, keeps them at bay. But the tire drag will also be quite high, especially on the fronts. So that's going to be a bit of a juggling act of, how Max is going to handle all that, because it is going to be a lot for him to handle. Oscar Piastri, P2, he was on provisional pole. He had a great provisional pole lap. He lost time on the second push lap, and I was with Andrea Stella following qualifying, and he was saying that Oscar had damaged his floor in Q3. So Oscar actually did have damage to the bottom of the car, and that compromised a bit his final push in Q3. He did this at the exit of Stowe on his first lap, bottoming out and running the car along the really serrated, rough curbing on the outside of Stowe. So essentially, Oscar, if he had of not made a few mistakes, but also at the same time, maybe not damaged the floor. May have had a shot at getting pole position on Saturday. However, that was a tough lap from Verstappen to overcome by anybody. Lando Norris, P3. So Lando, again, running that new front suspension that was introduced in Canada, and different from what Oscar is running. I spoke with Oscar about this on Thursday, and he explained to me that basically he didn't take the updated front suspension that McLaren had developed for Canada. Specifically, Lando took it and refined it, and it sounds as though Lando has a better feeling for the front from the front end because of it. So he's getting more feel from the front of the car than what he was at the beginning of the season, because he was complaining about that quite a bit. Again, being with Andrea Stella at the end of qualifying, explaining to me that it gives Lando a better feel of the front end, and he thinks it's working because he hasn't heard him complain about it yet in their debrief sessions. And he was also saying that maybe it could be something that Oscar may be interested in trying later on this season. So we'll see what happens there, because that's actually a little bit interesting. I'd be curious to know if Oscar ends up using it, because at the moment, I mean, clearly doesn't need it, right? Like, he's still putting in incredible performance. So yeah, one of those things to keep an eye on as the season sort of progresses. George Russell, P4. That's a surprising P4 from George Russell, let me tell you. I don't really think that car had it in it. That was just an excellent lap. Every lap this weekend, they were 5 or 6 tenths off the pace. And, getting through qualifying, George has said he thought it was going to be tough. And Q2 was a struggle for them, he said. But if we take a look at their race pace, what does that look like if the temperatures stay cool? Because it was cool here today. I mean, not cold, but it was cooler. George thinks that he can push for a podium if the conditions are favorable to them. But he said Sunday was going to be a 6-way fight, and one of those teams that is going to play a role, a big one, especially for maybe the win, is Ferrari. P5, Lewis Hamilton. Great qualifying from Lewis. He lost time in the last corner. I heard from Max, I heard Lando and Max talking post-qualifying, and Lando was just surprised that Lewis being up and then losing a bit of time in the last corner. It sounded like Lando thought that Lewis may have had a chance at stealing pole position away from Max Verstappen. But for Lewis, he felt he squeezed everything out of the car this weekend. He feels the car needs about a tenth more of performance in it. However, their race pace their long run pace is the strongest. So that bodes well for Sunday's Grand Prix for Ferrari, for Lewis Hamilton, and also Charles Leclerc as well. For Charles, P6. He was, how do I put this mildly? He was pissed. He was absolutely pissed right off with himself at the end of qualifying. He was super frustrated with himself. He said that he wasn't doing the job, and he feels that his races have been really good all season, but feels he's not qualifying the car very well. He said they are having issues with the car from Q2 onwards today, or on Saturday, I should say. So wouldn't elaborate on what the issues were. He said that they had been fighting with something inside the car, but was trying to not make excuses at the same time. But he did describe that the things that he's been fighting with, an issue with the car, has been going on all season. And he wouldn't elaborate. And this is something he talked to me about in Miami. Again, he wouldn't elaborate on what it is, but it sounds like every once in a while, whatever is bothering him in the car, it rears its ugly head every once in a while. And it did here at the British Grand Prix during qualifying, because I honestly thought that Charles Leclerc had pole position in him, and I think he thought that as well, too. And I think everybody else thought the exact same thing. But whatever the issue is, he said it has nothing to do with balance or grip, because he likes the platform of the car that they have underneath them. Wasn't mechanical either by the sounds of it. So again, I'm interested to see what this is, see what it evolves into. He said he was lacking today and was just a special lap where he puts everything together that would have gotten him pole position. And Charles Leclerc is the best qualifier on the grid. And today he did not have it today. Shame, really, because, I honestly think he would have had pole position. Fernando Alonso is going to start P7 because of both Oliver Behrman, Antonelli's penalty from Austria. Behrman got a 10th place grid penalty after his shunt in FP3. We'll talk about that in a second. But I had Behrman here, but I have to move him out of there because he didn't qualify there. So, there you go. We'll talk about Behrman in a second, though, because I thought he did a very good job. For Fernando Alonso, been a challenging day after free practice 3, as Aston Martin didn't get to run with the soft tires, and they were very hampered. Like, their qualifying setup was very challenging because they didn't get to do that free practice 3 session with the soft tire, so not really knowing what the balance of the car was going to feel like for qualifying. And somehow he was able to sort of make it work. The race car for tomorrow, he said that yesterday on the long run, the car felt pretty good. The upgrades that were brought this weekend, actually quite big by Aston Martin. There's a big floor upgrade. He said it gives them a slight advantage over the older upgrades that they used to have, but he felt that everyone else was bringing updates and had also made a step forward as well. He thought that Williams will be a threat from behind, so too Antonelli, and he also thinks that Yuki Tsunoda is going to come through too, and I think Yuki will as well, actually. It sounded like Yuki had some other issues going on there today. But yeah, he preferred it to rain, is essentially what he said. So Oliver Behrman, 10th place grid penalty. He was really happy with the qualifying. It was a bit... he was at a bit of a disadvantage as he was going on to the new updates after FP2, because the team still needed to validate those updates that I guess Ocon would have been running in the first 2 practice sessions, but eventually taking them on. He said the car handled differently, so it's something he had to adjust to, but he was happy with his performance all around. Just he was perturbed with the 10th place grid penalty that he's going to take. He's going to start P18. P8 for Gasly, said coming into qualifying that he thought they would be knocked out in Q1. They were having a ton of issues with this car this weekend, all season, I should say, as well. They made a few changes, small details to the car, and they were able to stitch together some really good laps. His Q2 lap that got him into Q3 was very, very impressive. It was really, really well done. We'll see what he can do from P8. I think it's going to be a tough day for Pierre, though. Depending on the conditions, I don't know if he's going to be able to finish in the top 10, but let's wait and see. P9 for Carlos Sainz. That was the maximum, he said, that the team could do this weekend with this car. Says with the other teams, again, similar to what Fernando said, bringing updates, but Fernando didn't say this part of it. Carlos felt that the team is falling behind a bit. He is hoping they bring some things that may help the car later in the season, but he thinks they can score points on Sunday. It also sounded kind of like, hey, we probably shouldn't have shut development off so soon, and we should have kept developing this car because everyone is also caught up so quickly. And in the Constructors' Championship, I mean, Williams doesn't have the strongest of advantages either. They have a lot of teams chasing them, so could easily drop down. Kimi Antonelli will roll off P10. Q2, Yuki Tsunoda, P11, said the car felt okay, but he had an issue at the end of his prep lap to start his final push lap. Said that he didn't get the power he normally gets coming out of the last corner into that push lap. He said he lost about a tenth all the way down to turn 3 because of not having the right amount of power as he was exiting the final corner to start his push lap. A couple other corners, he didn't have the power out of the corner as well. Said normally it feels like a boost out of the turn, but didn't have it during qualifying. He said the weekend was pretty good though. Like, he felt pretty optimistic about it, and he thought that Q3 was a definite possibility. He wasn't even questioning that. He actually thought he was going to get in there. I think Yuki can score points tomorrow. Really do. He actually looks pretty good this weekend. Whatever that issue is with the power unit, hopefully it gets solved. But yeah, he looks good. Isaac Hadjar was happy with all of his laps. He's P12. Said he reached the limit of what the car could do very early. So couldn't evolve the car as the sessions were going along. He said the race will be tough and the long runs were really difficult yesterday. So it doesn't sound good for the Racing Bulls. Alex Albon over the radio said, he said, no! And then he said he thought that Williams went too far in a direction, or he went too far in a direction. But then afterwards explained that he said he felt that the team didn't do himself as included, as well as in the team, didn't do the right things at the right times, wasted a set of tires when Franco crashed, and they went out, even though they knew it was going to be a red flag. And so they damaged a set of tires, and there was about a half a second drop off with the tires here this weekend. Said it was more of a communication side and felt that he should have been comfortably into Q3. Esteban Ocon P14, he wasn't happy following this one. He had a miscommunication before turn 3, drove with the left front flat spotted, I believe it was, for his last push lap. He didn't think he had the pace to match Ollie either. P15 for Liam Lawson. Q1, Gabriel Bortoleto, he had a tough one. Broke the rear suspension in FP3, crashed the car. So the team had to use an old floor on his car. But still, with an older floor, managed to outqualify Nico Hülkenberg, surprisingly. A really great performance from Bortoleto if he's running old components and still able to outqualify Bortoleto. Lance Stroll, so balance on the car got away from him, and the team said he was happy with the balance yesterday, but today it just got away from them. The entire team. So Lance said the car was like really nervous on corner entry compared to when they have like 30 kilos of fuel in the car. So if you think about when these guys go to qualify, they drain tanks. So the car becomes a lot livelier and it does different things. And usually you kind of learn that in FP3. And since neither he nor Fernando got to do any soft tire push runs in FP3, couldn't really get an understanding for the balance of the car and how it changes without all that fuel in there as well. And he also had to lift for the yellow flag that came out for Franco Colapinto. He said that lap probably would have been good enough to get him into Q2, but said when the fuel gets drained from the car, the car just changes totally. Nico Hülkenberg came in right behind. Franco Colapinto crashed. That was a mistake by Colapinto that led to the crash as well. So tough one for him. You can see Flavio Briatore on the pit stand with his head in his hands. So not a good one for old Franco. That was a tough one for sure. Let's take a look at some of your questions here. Questions from Tamara Sutherland. We've had another rookie with a grid drop for not following protocols. Red flag this time. While they are rookies for F1, they all have many years in single-seater formula under them, so surely they should know the rules, or is it different enough in F1 than F2 and F3? No, I wouldn't say that it's different. I would say that things are happening at a accelerated pace, if you will. I mean, the amount of information that these drivers are taking in Formula One compared to the amount of information they're taking in Formula 2 and Formula 3 and having to process all of that. And sometimes mistakes just happen. I mean, they just do. So for both, for Behrman in particular, that was, crashing in the pit entry. I didn't see that happening. That was pretty wild. I actually missed that. And I caught it when I came back to the media center because I had to go out to do an interview with about 5 minutes left in FP3. So I didn't actually see it live. I had to actually catch the replay of it. But I think he really got away with one there from Michael Klink. Hope I said your name right again. My bad if I didn't, dude. Max went out first for both runs in Q2. That's correct, he did. And was second behind Behrman for the first turn in Q3. Okay, I didn't see that part. Red Bull made the decision to have him last for the second run in Q3. Did track evolution for the second run make the difference, or was it the lot lower downforce? That's a great question. Because, track evolution, it kind of only goes, well, it doesn't only go so far, but in qualifying, like these cars lay down so much rubber into the tarmac so quickly that over the first two quali sessions, the track will have been evolved. And so it's not necessarily that it took another step. It's more along the lines that Max took another step and the team trimmed the car right out for him. And it was just a masterful lap. It's like I said, it's the lap of the gods. Like you don't normally get to take those types of laps in. Like it was a performance unlike anything I've seen in a very long time. So go back, rewatch it, enjoy it, because that was something special. Over on Blue Sky, Cole messaged me, said, Haas with some race pace, ? Double points, even with Ollie's penalty. Yeah, maybe there. So I sat down with Esteban on Thursday. He kind of explained that their, paraphrasing here, their race pace is better than what their quali pace is. Their race pace is always really strong. He says it's just trying to understand and unlock the performance from the car for qualifying has been a challenge. They also brought updates this weekend that appear to have worked. I mean, I think Behrman got more out of them than Esteban did, and Esteban did more running with them, if I'm not mistaken, than Ollie did. So points tomorrow for Haas. I think if the right conditions hit, some rain, yes, points tomorrow for Haas if that happens. Quick Ollie Behrman story. He's a good dude. So I was driving into Silverstone yesterday, and he was in the Ferrari, I think he was in the Pirasang, and I let him go in front of me. See what I said there? I let him go in front of me. Okay. I did let him. I was a gentleman. So I let him go in front of me so he could take the roundabout and get into the circuit because there was like fans all around. So he got in front of me or whatever. And when you go through Silverstone to get inside the track, you actually go through, it's like a bridge. You kind of go over these bridges to get there. You see them on television and you drive over them. But fans can't get on the roadway, but they can walk along the bridge. It's gated off. And all these fans are just like waving at him and stuff because they notice him because we're kind of stuck in a line waiting to get over this bridge. And like fans are kind of like running towards him and stuff and like along the gate line and things like that. And he actually literally like rolled down the window, got, hung out the car, was like waving to the fans. he was getting, taking pictures, selfies with him in the car, and them doing these selfies with him behind him in the car and stuff, giving a thumbs up. And there's this little kid who was on the opposite side of the road, and the kid was like just screaming his name. And Ollie tried to get the car kind of over towards him a bit so he could just say hi. And he did. Said, he did that, said hi, and kind of came back into our lane. Doesn't have to do that. Remember, right? Does not have to do that. And it was just really, really nice to see. Yeah, really, really cool thing to see from Oliver Bearman. Again, I'm still just getting to know him. But yeah, it was cool. It was really nice to see. That pretty much does it. Adam and I will be back. We should be back Sunday night. So Sunday's going to be a tough one for me because I'm going to have, obviously, the race, Sports Center stuff, obligations, and I want to make sure I do a good job with that. And then get in the car, get back here, got to pack, and then Adam and I got to have to do the pod at some point. Then I got to get to the airport for early morning and fly out of here back to Canada, back to Toronto. So it's going to be a busy, so tomorrow's going to be busy 24 hours. So yeah, anyways, that's my little story. And I'm sticking to it, sticking with it, whatever. Talk to you guys tomorrow. See you. Bye.